Well, our story begins a not so long time ago, actually the 1990s. Our story begins in the 1990s, in an age of racist stereotypes that were not yet called out by social justice bloggers, and the issue of the out-of-context TeePee. You see, what had happened with the out-of-context TeePee was that in our form of media, which shall remain nameless, the out-of-context TeePee was introduced as a diversity choice. But the problem with this is...
The problem with diversity choice is the fact that really it's cultural misappropriation, which we all know is horrible. Luckily, one day someone decided to stop being such a dumbass and pick up a book. They picked up a book and realized exactly how incredibly racist the out-of-context TeePee was and decided, hey guys, we should stop doing this whole out-of-context TeePee thing. So, people didn't like that, because people liked the out-of-context TeePee, because people in the 1990s were huge racists. I mean, let's be real, we still are, but we have social justice bloggers call us out on that now. They didn't in the 90s, because Tumblr didn't exist yet. Was that a copyright thing? Whatever. So, this one lone person decided to go on a campaign to stop the cultural misappropriation of TeePees, and,
as we know, knowledge shines a light on your thinking. And that was the catchphrase of the public broadcasting channel, which shall rename itself according to whoever's paying the dues that month. Right. You see, public broadcasting, it is unfortunately funded by viewers. And this one program that was supposed to educate people about such issues as the fact that you shouldn't have your out-of-context TeePee, it was funded, and it was supposed to shine a light and show us how to be less racist and more informed, but the problem was...
there just wasn't enough funding. So they had to, talk about the out-of-context TeePees by using, little, the little Playmobil things. And that was just, full of racist stereotypes. I mean, seriously, have you seen the Indian versions of those? Racist. So, this program wasn't doing so well. The person who started it all, our very own, very first social justice blogger, decided that they had to raise the funds so that way they could have a better program. Fortunately, that's when they turned to gambling. And by turning to gambling, they decided to go to one of the many popular casinos located on the reservations. This did nothing for their cause, because as they were gambling, they were like, wait a second, this is the person who's supposed to be shining light on the cultural misappropriation of our culture, and then they're turning around and contributing to, the unfairness of this all. Are you serious? So, he got kicked out of every casino in the Midwest. Now, our poor social justice blogger was broke. Didn't know what to do. So,
didn't know what to do, so they brought out their 1990s car phone. This was before the age of the cell phone. Had the car phone. And said, man, hold on, let me... hold on, I have to hold the briefcase up too. Can you hear me now? Okay, so the problem is, we've been kicked out of all of the casinos, we have no money, and we're about to be stranded. But hold on while I call a collect. And you see, while all of this was happening, the Mighty Coyote Spirit Guide, the patron of TeePee's, out of context or otherwise, look, it was stoned all of the time. It didn't care about racist stereotypes. It cared that people cared about the TeePees. And people caring about the TeePees, out of context or otherwise, gave that spirit coyote the ability to go on and the ability to acquire drugs. And this led us to...
Really? You're leaving me with a stoned coyote spirit guide? Okay. Stoned Coyote Spirit Guide decided that he needed to go and visit every single TeePee individually to kind of sort of get a feel for what was going on with the situation. Because he was still stoned out of his mind, but still, he was kind of a spirit guy who was supposed to be doing something. So, leaving our poor social justice blogger alone and stranded in the Midwest, Spirit Guide travels and searches for teepees. Fortunately, Dubro was stoned out of his mind, and he found himself visiting the ancient pyramids instead. See, when he was in the ancient pyramids, he discovered that, there were still the spirit guides of ancient Egypt as well. And, they started broing it up and trading weed, or, can I say that? Yeah. Trading weed and trading stoner stories until they realized, oh man, are we supposed to be doing something right now? Oh no, man, but this is great. Unfortunately, Coyote Spirit Guide knew he was supposed to be doing something though, so he decided to travel back to the social justice blogger. Even though he accomplished literally nothing except getting even more stoned out of his mind. Back to the social justice blogger, who was still fighting with his car phone, and he waited. And
then they decided that this form of media, which has remained nameless, the Shine a Light program, it just wasn't working. It was too expensive, there was just too much going on, and this entire funding fiasco had just screwed the entire operation. They were supposed to be talking about out-of-context teepees, and they were supposed to make people care so that the spirit coyote could get even more weed and peyote or whatever else he wanted. Because that's what mattered to him, and educating the masses of the 90s mattered to this pre-Tumblr social justice blogger. So what they decided, the real media that they needed to get their message across was comic books. Which, of course, led to
our very first social justice comic, which unfortunately has to remain nameless because for, copyright reasons, even though we've already said, Tumblr and PBS, but whatever. So, in this comic book, they decided to reach out to, the more intelligent people, because, at this point in time, comics were not as widespread as they used to be. They were still kind of But the people who did read them were massive nerds, and everyone knows that the nerds shall inherit the earth. So, comic books about social justice and teepees, and the correct usage of teepees, and also our very own stoned spirit guide made a few appearances in the comics. Unfortunately, a lot of these comics couldn't be published because of all the blatant drug use. So they were locked up in a tiny little vault somewhere with a padlock, and the key was swallowed by our very own social justice blogger. Not knowing what else to do, our very own social justice blogger decided
that after all of this, after having everything he believed in questioned, after seeing the bureaucracy destroy everything that he held so dear, after seeing that the literal spirit behind what he was trying to defend was nothing but a corrupt stoner at the end of the day, he decided it was time to get into something new. Something because the millennium was ending, because the 90s were on the way out, and maybe out-of-context TVs were just going to continue to be a way of life, maybe that there was no social justice in the world, maybe the time just wasn't right, maybe everything he believed in was wrong, but there was a lucrative business in becoming a recreational parachuting instructor. And so he left behind his social justice. He left behind his corporation, which is completely not PBS. He left all of that behind in order to jump out of airplanes for a living.
And that's all she wrote.
And that's all.